Welcome to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast with Michael Becker and Paul Peebles. During this program, you will hear interviews with real-life successful investors who will share their stories and provide useful advice on how to acquire, finance, and operate apartment complexes. Now, here they are, Michael Becker and Paul Peebles.
Welcome to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Peebles, National Underwriter for Old Capital. And typically joining me today would be the mayor, the governor of the great state of Texas, because he owns so much real estate here, Mr. Michael Becker. But unfortunately, he is on another due diligence assignment. So sitting in the podcast today, Ricardo Hinojosa. Ricardo Hinojosa with Old Capital. Good to see you again, Ricardo.
Great to be here. Thank you, Paul.
So Ricardo, as you know, is one of the top producers, loan officers for Old Capital. Great fountain of knowledge on putting transactions together. And so we're looking forward to having Ricardo sit in the podcast, and we'll talk a little bit about what he sees on the horizon for multifamily. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I thought we would just kind of let everybody know, do not forget, January 15th, we're going to have Greg Willett. Greg Willett's going to be at the House Grapevine Convention Center. We're going to have another speaker series. Greg Willett, the real page economist. So before he goes to the National Multifamily Housing Council meeting in Orlando to speak about what's happening on apartments throughout the United States, kind of the national perspective, he's going to try out his talk with us. So we're honored to have him come in and speak to 200-300 people. Great networking opportunity. Go to oldcapitalpodcast.com and RSVP. You are invited by Ricardo to come over and to the speaker series and watch Greg Willett talk a little bit about what's going on with the economy. We'll also have one of the economists from CoStar who handles the Texas area. So he'll talk a little bit about what's going on in Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and of course, Dallas and Fort Worth. So great opportunity, January the 15th. I know that Ricardo will be there.
Absolutely.
So in the podcast today, we have a friend of ours that we've known for a number of years that we think is a very good operator, and he's never found anybody that wasn't his friend. So he has a very positive personality. I think that's what's helped him in his life. Always sees a sunny day out there. And Baneek Gupta, thanks for being in the podcast with us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me, guys.
So I'm going to turn it over to Ricardo because Ricardo has closed a number of transactions with Baneek, and I think he has a good perspective of how Baneek got into the business. So let's kind of follow up with Ricardo.
Yeah. Good to have you, Baneek.
And thanks. Same over here, guys.
And a lot of people don't know that. Well, Paul didn't even know this. I told him the other day, but I've known you for a while, even before real estate.
True.
So Baneek and I had some undergrad classes together way back at the University of North Texas.
North Texas, yes.
That's right, in Denton, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after college, we kind of lost touch.
Yes.
Didn't see him forever. And then years back, I see you at a multifamily networking event.
Absolutely.
And hey, I know that guy. So one thing led to another, and we worked a number of deals together. So Baneek, why don't you kick things off and just give our audience a little bit of a feel for your background, who you are, and then we'll get into why you got into real estate.
Sounds good. Thanks, God. First of all, thanks again for the opportunity for you guys inviting me over here to talk something about my background, my investments, and my goals. Firstly, again, I came to Dallas back in 1996 for my education. Went to college, graduated from there. Took a little time because I wanted to decide what I want to do. I was always confused, to be honest, always confused. And got my first degree done in a Bachelor of Science, Computer Information System. Then I figured that to add some additional strong point in my resume, because the market was kind of a little slumming in 2001, 2002, I did my second undergrad in logistics, which is supply chain management, hoping that I'll have a better opportunity out there in the market. After graduating, I joined a company. It was an authorized agent for Singular Wireless back in the days. They were growing big. I saw the opportunity to grow with them together. So I joined them, went and worked for them in South Georgia, set up the market, brand new structure sometimes in the mall, sometimes shopping complex. So got an idea from there running a business firsthand in U.S. I do have a background from back home. We have factories and things like that.
Let's talk a little bit about, is that a Texas accent you have there?
Kind of mixed.
All right. So let's go backwards a little bit. Where are you originally from? Your family?
I'm from Nepal. It's a little
Nepal.
tiny country out there between China and India.
So that's close to the Himalayas?
Yes, Mount Everest. Yes, sir.
So have you climbed?
In my dream.
But a lot of people come to Nepal to go mountain climbing.
Absolutely.
What's the typical economy like in Nepal?
Very sad back in the days when I was there. It's getting better. Public investment is very heavy now after the democracy of 1992. So public sector has been very active now. It was mainly controlled by government sector before 1992. So the growth was constrained, but things went together. After democracy of 1992, things have been going great. Unfortunately, not having a stable political situation had suppressed our growth big time.
So tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial background. Did it come from your father, your family? What made you come over to the United States? I mean, that took a lot of gumption to do that. Did you have any friends or family in the United States when you came over?
Yeah, no, coming to U.S. was one of the biggest steps that I had to take. I mean, definitely we had factories and businesses back home. My dad was mainly relying on me to continue his legacy because he's not only a social worker or businessman, also he's a politician. And he saw something in me, I don't know what, till day. I mean, he keeps, bugging me that when I want to come back and run for election or be a member of parliament or so. But he was into me to continue his legacy, and the business was there. But again, he didn't want to stop us from doing what we would like to do. And he didn't want to just push something what he wants us to do. So he let us explore. Say, hey, go explore, go see what you want to do. I mean, if you find something that you'd like to do better than what we have, absolutely.
How much money did you come to the United States in your pocket with?
Well, it's one of those immigrants' families story, right? $20 situation. For us, my dad, when I was coming over here, he was in a constraint. He had a back home. He was in a dispute with his family, with brothers. So all the asset was frozen. So we literally had very little money in our pocket. He gave me $2,000 to come and a ticket. And
Wow.
That was first semester, half semester fee, literally. So came out here with that much money and literally had nothing in my pocket.
And what did you do during college to pay for it?
Well, that was something that I had to struggle. I mean, constantly looking for some scholarships, some grants, something that school can provide us, trying to change the school to go to community college to save money.
Sure.
And, do a tutoring session, go talk to professors if they need some help and get paid. I try to get the job at a school to get our in-state rather than out-of-state fee, and also trying to find jobs here and there. Applied for permit, got a permit to work, and started working as a dishwasher at McDonald's.
Dishwasher at McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And became a store manager within 6 months, and I had an opportunity then. And I regret sometimes when I think back, the owner back in the day said, hey, Beneath, let's open McDonald's, I got a license for a few coming up if you guys are up for it. And I'm like, no, my dad did not send me over here to run McDonald's. He wants me to get a college degree first and then, work for UNICEF or Red Cross or whatever biggest organization out there. So we passed those opportunities. When I look back, definitely.
So why do you think, I've been doing this for a long period of time, and I do see a lot of people that come from different parts of the world get into real estate, get into being entrepreneurs, kind of running their own business. Why do you think so many are immigrants that get into the multifamily business or just are entrepreneurs?
I believe it's all about the culture back there. We don't have, right now, if you look at the U.S. structure, the way we are, capitalist, right? You have big companies out there that are offering jobs that can be very easy paycheck to paycheck. You can survive, you can live a decent life just by working for Amazon or any company, smaller companies as well. That was not there back then. You only had to run your own small shops, mom and pop, what do you call it? A small shop for yourself to survive. And it was the big giant not being there. And I think sometimes when I look back, the government system that we had actually helped us to continue grow slowly rather than, putting in a area where you go out there and make your own dream comes true, not having the proper infrastructure. So the government was constraining us, but at the same time, we learned how to, make daily needs by having our own business. And that's how we, in those countries, especially in South Asia, if I'm not wrong, we did not have those big companies out there in almost small areas as well. We have no power, no water, no electricity. I mean, There's no heat and cold, nothing.
Sure. You guys were very busy. So you come to the United States with $2,000 in your pocket as a generous gift from your father. It says, go out and get your college education. You happen to have a couple classes with Ricardo, which is amazing, of a school that is, 50,000 people or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a huge University of North Texas. And then a couple of years later, now you're kind of in the corporate world, and then you're looking to get into real estate. So tell us about what appealed to you in real estate.
The biggest thing is that the lifestyle that you get out of real estate. That's one of the good things. Because while I was working for a company, software company, I was kind of getting bored because there was not much of a growth for me. And I'm always outspoken. I speak my mind. I speak my heart every day. And again, corporate world was not designed for me, I believe. And I will not play my cards right, frankly. I was told. But, I always thought, if they can do it, I can do it too. It's not rocket science. If someone can write a program and start selling softwares, I can do it. So we, small group of friends, got together. We did it. But unfortunately, when I look back, it's all about having a good team and good support system. You can do anything you want to if you have a good support system established. And that was not there for us. And we were fresh out of college thinking about we can do anything we want to. But again, we didn't have the right team. And moving from there, because the value of team that I have come to learn after meeting you guys, for instance, and also in lifestyles, that there is a very big advantage having a good team in place. And when I go back, I'll pause right here and I say, go back home. Back home, actually, everything is all cash transaction. Over here, you have a leverage. And I did not understand the potential of leverage back in days when I got out of the college. And the company that I had to work for also back in days in 2002, 2003, they were all cash transaction as well because they believed in not borrowing much money. And after coming from there, I understand that I failed quite a few times not having a support system. And back home, people survive because that's how they live. They save to buy something. And over here, if you have a good plan, good business structure, and good team, you can succeed by having some leverage available to you. So I actually, after I was working in 2008, I got laid off because I was too bored with my job, and I got outsourced. I was a project manager for IT company, all outsourced to India and Pakistan. Then I stepped out. I said, no, this is not for me anyways. And that's when I thought about doing something. My brother was already, got him into a gas station in 2008 early. And I thought, let me go out there and do some retail because there was a cash flow, direct cash flow. It impacts your daily operation, daily life as well. So I thought about, let me open a business that I can convert into a chain and make it a franchise, which I look into a very niche business, which is specialized beer and wine and cigars. And I opened a store in Mansfield, ground up, everything. We got a brand new structure with nothing in. So that's where my most experience comes from when I do construction side. It was not true construction, but I had to have an engineer to get my plan done, work with the city, get the contractor, get everything, all the equipments, inventory, dealing with the vendors. And literally, I stayed at the store for 2 years straight, every day almost behind the counter to promote the store, because I learned that if you don't have a capital to put back in your business, you're going to fail. So main thing is that if I hire someone, I'm paying off my income. If I hire myself, I don't have to pay myself right now until my business is up and running. And luckily, my wife was working. She was getting good pay. So she was supporting the house. And that's when I stepped out and took all my risk to go out there, do something. What happened, the business was getting better, but my lifestyle was getting worse because, when then I had a baby, Victoria was born, and our life has changed, and I could not spend too much time working in retail. And I'm like a workaholic. If I like something, I go 100%, 200%. And that's what I did. And the business is still running. It's 10 years as of last month. Fantastic. And we're still doing good. My brother is running that deal. So
the switch to multifamily.
That is when
So you wanted your time back.
That's what my wife says. You got to change something. You got to come up with some different ideas. You can't be doing retail, and I know there is money, but life is changing. And that's when I went back to work to take some little time off from retail. And I went to work for 2 years, and I worked for a good company, and I learned a lot. But that's when I actually came to know about the good thing about networking. Building a team. I made a friend, I made a coworker who actually brought me to the seminars and lifestyles unlimited right in Dallas. And I came to know about And I thought it's all a scam. I did not really take it. But, after 1 year when I left, I thought I'm going to do something. I got to do something. And I don't want to go back to retail because lifestyle is not good over there. Money's there, but lifestyle is not good over there. So I had to come up with something. So I went back to Lifestyle Unlimited office just to see, get a feel of it. I went there and I met a few good people right then. I was sold. I said, no, this is the place. I'm finding myself with good people surrounding me because that's the best way to learn.
Okay, Ricardo, tell us a little bit about who's Lifestyles, what's Lifestyles?
So Lifestyles is a multifamily education group. And they have offices all over the country. Their main office, I think, is in Houston.
Houston, yeah.
They have a big office here in Dallas. And their role is to educate. It's an education and networking group. So that's where I met Benit. I was at a Lifestyles event.
Yeah.
And I saw you there. And I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I remember you. So you joined Lifestyles and you started getting educated.
That's when the whole thing
changed.
changed. I mean, we turned the page in our book. Life changed day one. I joined the group. It's not like I had to join that particular group, but I just felt connected. I felt good people around me. I saw good mentors, good group of people, good investor, good broker, good vendors, everything right there in one place. And based on the experience that I had, gained in the past 10, 15 years in being in the U.S., I came to know this is the real deal right now, that if I don't do something now, things like this, I will not achieve my lifestyle that I want to get. I got in and I invested. Day one, I found someone good. I said, hey, it's my money. Let's learn. Let's move forward.
First.
As a passive, yes. Before that, I had one house for rented. I had rented my first house when I moved to second house. So I had some experience on renting. But reality is that I was always a renter when I was in college. So I know, we had to bargain constantly, rent increase. So I was thinking, why there's always rent increase whenever I'm getting into choices. So that time I didn't understand. And now I'm like seeing, okay, the rent increase of 5% to 10% is almost doubling your money. I did not put that 2 + 2 = 4 until then. So yes, that's when I started and my life changed. And thank God that I want to give more credit to my wife because she continued working. She was not enjoying. Hopefully no one hears that. She was not enjoying what she was doing. She stayed for 10 years over there and she was wanting to get out of there. And
so she was kind of the base of the family. So she had the full-time job, the full-time W-2 job.
Yes.
And, you guys had Victoria and William.
Yeah, William, yeah.
At that period of time. And that, she graciously let you do do your stuff.
Oh, yes. And, the risk that I was taking.
She must love you.
I hope so. And she does. I mean, she's very caring. Unfortunately, I'm the hard one. I take sometimes hard decisions here and there and make someone sad maybe once in a while. But again, those decisions have to be taken anyways. Main thing is that she's being there was my 100% freedom that I can go do real estate or anything I wanted to do.
So your first transaction you did was a passive transaction, and how much money did you put into your?
I only put $75,000 in that deal.
$75,000, which is a lot of money.
I regret. I could have put $300,000 in.
You should have put $300,000.
$300,000.
Why? Why is that?
210% return
over a period of how long?
Less than 4 years.
Fantastic.
So you made some money on that one.
Oh yes.
So that was invested in an apartment complex.
Yes.
Okay. So it was an apartment complex. When you joined Lifestyles, you met somebody that was going to do their own transaction.
Yeah.
That they wanted to raise money. You were a limited partner, so you put your money in. Did you learn something with that?
Absolutely. The day one, I mean, again, this lead, I don't want to disclose the name, but fantastic person. Lots of education, lots of, background was great. I mean, he was out there opportunity-wise. I mean, if I want to shadow him, I had no problem shadowing him. I mean, he was out there up and up.
Would that be something that you would recommend people if they're thinking about being a limited partner and that they're also thinking about eventually becoming a general partner, kind of the lead investor,
yes,
the person running the deal? Find, when you're making a passive investment, find somebody that's going to educate you
absolutely,
or teach you and make sure that you kind of know what the heck you're doing.
Oh, yes. And that was my actually turning point again after meeting this lead. I mean, actually, I kept asking him, hey, I want to do something, man. I want to do something, just not only passive, because I'm full-time here. I want to learn everything from the bottom to top, everything that there's absolutely out there in real estate. So he actually started assigning me tasks. Hey, you want to do this? You want to do this? Learn something here. So, and that's when, I was in the process of learning, and I said, you know what? I'm ready for my own deal.
So let's talk about your first deal. So Tell Ricardo and not myself about your first transaction.
Oh, it's a small, cute little property in Louisville. I got a call from one of our brokers from Lifestyles, and they said, "Hey, there is a small property if you want to go look at it." I was out there in Mansfield visiting my brother, helping him with some software issue at the property, at the beer store. And I said, "You know what? I'm coming." I got in a car right there, and I drove to Louisville. It was an hour drive. I said, "I don't care. I think Louisville is a good location. You should not be passing off anything that comes to the market." And I went and looked at it. Loved it in the first sight. I said, "I will take it." But guess what? There was someone else in line before me. Ricardo.
So I had looked at the deal. It's kind of a funny story. We'd started in Lifestyles about the same time.
Same time, yeah.
I looked at the deal, and at the time I was still in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. So we wanted something that we could put third-party management on because I was still in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was, we ended up deciding to pass because it was too small.
Yeah, and
because it needed somebody to self-manage it.
Absolutely, and that's when my full-time time that I had available, I was able to do so, and I went for it. It was one of the best deals.
Let's kind of talk a little bit about the deal. How many units was it?
It's only 22.
22 doors, and what year was it built?
Bits and pieces from 1930 all the way to 1968, 69.
So 1930 to 1968. Was it a pretty good location?
Very good location.
Right across elementary school.
Just west of downtown Louisville.
Yeah, and right across elementary schools.
So one of the amenities for the property really was because where it physically was, it was close to the elementary schools. Mm-hmm. And so, was it individual HVAC? Was it pitched roof?
It was a unique property, as a first-time syndicator or sponsor. It was kind of a bits and pieces in there. You see building from 1930, 1950s, and 1968. And then the AC system was very, very unique. I think, Paul, you haven't visited the property, but if you see it, you'll be very amazed. So what the previous owner has done is that he has done individual ACs, but one AC was supporting 3 units upstairs and one is supporting downstairs. And thermostat, not inside the unit, is in the closet downstairs where the mechanical room, which we call it mechanical room, where you have a hot water heaters. So you have one hot water heater for downstairs, all 3 units. There are 3 separate buildings, the brick ones, and there are 2, one is small house, and they're 2-story house. So I'll say bottom line is all individually metered, but we do all bills paid because one AC is supporting 3 units upstairs and one AC is supporting 3 units downstairs. One water heater is supporting upstairs 3 units and one water.
Well, just a chopped up building.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
That was a little bit unusual. And so what was the sales price of the property way back then?
Back in what? We paid $46, $48, something like that.
A door?
A door. That was still a high price back in days.
And how much money did you put into in terms of the rehab dollars into the deal?
It was total out of pocket was $300,000.
And what did you use the money for?
No, the total out of pocket $300,000 and $100,000 was from our bank for rehab.
Okay.
Total. So total out of pocket was $300,000. So the $100,000 rehab actually went for interior update mainly, nothing else.
Did you use a bank loan to finance it?
Yeah, it was a bank loan.
And how did they finance you with you not having a job?
Oh, that was a beauty, I guess, since, we formed a small partnership. So 3 or 4 guys got together. 3 of them signed the deal together. So, thank God, we have good lenders. That's what I'm saying, good team. If you have a good team, they can pursue the bank saying, hey, these guys are worth it to move
So the
forward.
guys that were on your team, they used their personal financial statement?
Yes.
You used yours?
Yes.
And so the bank saw you as a group. You may have been the weakest one because you didn't have the income. These guys had strong financial statements.
They were working that time, yes.
And also, this was a recourse loan.
Yes.
And so you put down 25, 30% into the deal?
Yes.
And that you held the property for how long?
We still have them.
You still own the property?
Yeah.
And then where have you taken rents from, too?
Well, when we first initially got there, I saw the rent definitely was $650 for 1 bedroom, all bills paid. And, the day I got there, and the one thing I looked at, again, this is a unique deal. So people may just get away, just like Ricardo said, it was not best fit for him, but best fit for me because I was available to go take a full-time property management job on that deal. So I had an opportunity to do what I wanted to do in that deal. Exterior was all fine. Roof was fairly new. AC were new. Hot water is new. The owner had it for 10 years. Only thing he did not do is increase the rent. He did everything else but increase the rent. All he gave me, the property, and day one, literally, I topped up the letter. We had almost 70% residents were month to month. I gave them 30 days notice to increase the rent, take a new rent or move out. 99.9, basically everybody signed up with a $100 rent increase day one.
Wow.
And then I was able to only had a one person moving out because they were going out of town, out of city, out of the state. So I got opportunity to rehab that unit, and that 750 2-bedroom, I rented for $950. I could have gone for $1,000, but since I was transferring a regular residence I gave him a little bit of a break, and that person's still there. And the apartment, if he moves out today, you can actually sweep and rent. That's how good condition. So overall, the condition of the property was great location. The value was there, but the existing owner did not have enough education or support system to continue running the deal profitable. So we came out there, we started doing cash and cash flow day one.
So you bought it when? You bought it
May of 2015. And after running 1 year, I was talking to Ricardo saying, I said, hey man, got this bank loan, what do you do? And he said, well, if you want to refi, we have an option for you. You can go to Freddie Mac small loan. And I said, let's do it. I gave him my paperwork. He looked at it. He said, you can give me a good deal. I'm like, okay, I'm taking 100% out in less than 1 year.
So what does that mean, Ricardo?
So essentially, he had seen substantial rent increase, substantial NOI increase.
Yeah.
So his value was much better.
Yeah.
So a lot of times on these smaller deals, or just deals in general, value add deals where there's big upside, you execute the business plan, and then we'll come out and take you from a bridge loan to kind of a long-term. Benit's goal was to hold this long-term. He loved the asset. He and his partners wanted to cash flow it for the long-term. So we went in and put long-term Freddie Mac debt on it, pulled all his cash out in about a year.
Yeah.
And
I still did 20% cash and cash on the original investment after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Until this day, we're still doing it. Actually, I was going to reach out to him and say, hey, pull me some more money out right now.
So really is a great story. So what happened next? So that was your first deal.
Yeah, and then
the next deal was quite a bit larger.
Yeah,
right?
quite a bit large. I came across on my desk and, got into it. It was assumption. Again, when I look back, I could have just gone a free, brand new loan, but it was a good asset. We took assumption. It was 97 units in Denton, Class C plus type situation. We went out there, spent more than $800,000 to $900,000 renovation. My initial budget was smaller, but I continued putting money.
Let's go back again, Ricardo. Why did he do the assumption? What was the economic reason?
Yeah, so when he teed up the deal, it was, again, 96 units in Denton. Someone had already placed Fannie Mae debt on it, and they did it relatively recently. So the previous owner had a long-term debt. It was only on for maybe a year or two, 2.5 years. So there was a extremely high prepay penalty on the transaction.
Like, how high was it?
Do you remember what it was?
$600,000 to $700,000.
So
very expensive.
So if the seller were to pay the loan off, they had to pay $600,000 or $700,000. So that was the economic reason why. But when he wanted to buy the property, it was put to him is that if you want to buy the property, the seller doesn't want to pay the $600,000 or $700,000 prepay or increase the sales price by $600,000 or $700,000. We would want you to buy the property and assume the loan.
Yeah.
Now, was it just a straight assumption, or was there a supplemental loan involved?
There was a supplemental loan involved, close to $1 million supplemental.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the nice benefits about Fannie Mae loans is they are assumable.
Yeah.
So you can get around paying that prepay penalty, and then you can add a supplemental. And I think we levered up to about 75% on that deal with about $1 million extra into the deal when Benit closed on it.
Wow.
So it was an overall great loan, great structure. Everything was planned out. I mean, again, the idea was if I just hold on to the property, I will get that equity capture right there at the end.
Sure.
So, I mean, longer you hold, better equity you're going to get out of that deal because the prepay penalty drops drastically.
So talk to me. It's 97 units. What year was that property built?
94. Sorry, 7. I wish. 74.
1974.
Yeah.
And so during that period of time that you owned it, you put in, again, how much rehab dollars?
Close to $850,000.
So, and where did that money go into?
Mainly exterior as well. Some of the biggest ticket was roof. So we got the roof fixed, all TPO. All 13 buildings had a brand new roof.
What's a TPO mean?
This is one of those...
it's a flat roof.
The flat roof, yes. Sorry, it's a flat roof. Insulation goes on top of the existing roof. Once you repair that area where damaged it is, and we put a thick 3 inches to 2 inches insulation and taper the roof such a way the water drains out. So the TPO is a material that is actually a very strong material that doesn't get penetrated, doesn't get torn out over the time, and it helps also to minimize our electric bill if you're using for energy efficient. It's a white layer of plastic. I don't know much to explain right now, but that flat roof was one of the biggest ticket that we had. Once we did that, there was lots of leaks in the property when we got there. So the first thing we had to take action within a few months to repair the roof and some gutter updates, So we took some gutters out, put a new roof in there, and that helps us to get complaint from, 20, 30, 50 complaints on a rainy day to 0 complaints. So that was the best thing that we did first thing.
Did you take the money out of cash flow to rehab the property and the roof? Or did you guys...
It was set, we built up $650,000 up front from our pocket to take for the rehab.
What do you think the reason would be on that, Ricardo? Why is it a good idea to raise all the additional equity into the transaction to pay for the repairs of the property and not do it out of cash flow?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's, I think you've got to do that from a risk standpoint. You know what's wrong going up front. You do your due diligence, right? That's why you do due diligence up front. So it's critical that you raise the money up front. You take care of the necessary items up front, overall to reduce risk.
Yeah,
because you never know when you're going to have an occupancy issue. And if the cash flow is not there and you can't take care of the issues on the property, then you have big issues.
Yes.
So you want to take care of them up front 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. So also over there in that area, the drain system was not great. So we put money on drain, some of the landscaping work. And then we went heavily on interior updates because there were lots of damage from previous rain leak damage.
An equity that you guys raised, how much equity did you guys
We raised $2.15 million total.
Okay.
That included our rehab in there.
And you put some money into the deal?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And
10% of the deal was mine, yeah.
So 10%?
12% altogether. Mm-hmm.
So that would be what?
$250,000, yeah.
So $250,000. Must be a lot of money in that beer and wine business.
Yes, absolutely.
And so how many partners did you have in that deal?
We had 35, including me.
Okay. And how difficult was it to raise capital?
I'll say it was not easy, but at the same time, also it's not difficult. It's just the fact that how if your network is great enough, if you know what you have and the people that you're interacting with. It took me 2 weeks altogether because, again, I was not heavily trying to focus on raising money. I was heavily focusing on how to close the deal on time and evaluate the deal properly. So it took me 2 weeks to raise that time. Again, my network was very small then,
Yeah. So, but you purchased this property within the Lifestyles Unlimited system?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the benefits about Lifestyles and raising capital, Ricardo.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a huge group. It's a huge group. And one of the big benefits, in my mind, the biggest benefit is the network.
Yeah.
You're immediately immersed into a group where everyone is educated. Everyone gets educated the same way about the multifamily business. Mm-hmm. So the ability for a lead like Benit to go in, meet people, it's just a perfect environment because everyone there is there to invest in real estate. So he's able to network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like-minded people. I definitely see that. But also, too, is that a lot of the people that are investors that go there, a lot of them are professionals, whether they're doctors or attorneys or engineers or IT professionals. They all have a balance sheet that's fairly good size, I would say, as the larger the group is. But Lifestyles Unlimited requires anybody that is going to be kind of a lead, like what Benit was looking to do, to put significant cash out of their own pocket to do the deals. Yeah. And I see that as being the right way of doing it versus some of these new posers that come out into the market right itself. And there's the gurus out there that are saying, hey, listen, go out and raise the money from all your limited partners. And you don't typically have to put any money into the deal, but you'll get a percentage of interest in the entity if you put this deal together. And so, that is the absolute wrong way. I don't know if I was a limited partner and I found out my partnership group that was putting the deal together was not going to put any money in or put limited money in, I would not be very happy about that because there's no commitment. It's this thing
absolutely
starts going south. I mean, you have a large financial commitment to make sure this
and also
works.
Just to add on that, Paul, the Lifestyle doesn't really like the equity part. Like when you become an equity partner at the day one, they want to have distributions in. So you don't take anything home as a sponsor unless you have a profit.
Yeah.
So you don't take, we have a 5, 10, 12%, whatever percentage compensation based on the product. We only take on the distribution. So if you don't distribute any money as a sponsor, you don't get any money.
Yeah.
So it's all about the distribution, cash flow. So if you can't just take a 10% and then you raise $1 million today, $100,000 is yours. No.
Again, you have to join Lifestyles Unlimited to be in these type of
Yes,
transactions.
absolutely,
So you
yeah.
cannot, if as a deal sponsor, you can't go outside. So you have to be part of the. I'm going to put my italics in the air. You have to be part of the club.
Yes.
To go into it. And again, we don't represent Lifestyles. We do a lot of business with them, and we think that they're a valued
Absolutely.
group that has put together a platform that's been around for 27, 28 years and has 15, 20,000 members throughout the nation.
I think it's a 50 now, I guess.
It's
a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a big network.
It's a lot. So let's go back to the property itself. And so you own that property for how long?
Owned it for 2 years and 3 months exactly, to be
Okay.
3 months. And then we went under a contract and closing the deal at 2. And so a total of 28 months of operation over there.
And why did you sell it? Because a lot of people buy properties to hold them for a long period of time, and then some people kind of fix the problem, and you guys spend significant cash to fix the problem from the previous.
And that's what I
ownership
saw
group?
the value, that if I already fix something that is, there, is fresh, is, again, we had around 27 more units, some left to do a full rehab. So I thought there is some meat on the bone for the new buyer, and they can take from there because the rent growth was there. And we had an opportunity to get a decent cash out and move forward. And we did that. We had we returned around 71% cash and cash, which is 171% on your number wise. So in 2 years.
So then you've gone on, you bought other properties, you bought the Two-Door Lane property, you bought the Victoria Place property.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that was named after your lovely daughter.
Yes.
That's what's good about real estate. You find a property and you can name it after your kids.
Yeah.
So I think that is wonderful. But I think what Ricardo and I kind of want to figure out is that about you self-managing, and that's been kind of a key. Some of the things, like we talked about before, Ricardo saw that small property and he had a full-time job at the time and didn't want to self-manage the property, or couldn't. He just didn't have the time to do it. Can we talk a little bit about self-management and why self-management works for you, and how come you don't do third-party management?
No, in reality, yes, third-party management is the ultimate goal for any lead, any sponsor. If you really want to have a good lifestyle, For me, it was I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn firsthand to see what's going on, because when you go out there and you have this bunch of educated people out there and they've been in business for 30 years and you're competing with them, you're dealing with them, I want to be prepared. I wanted to do it on my own and, prove myself that, yes, I have that drive to do the job. And I loved it. From day one, I started loving it so much that I didn't want to give up. But I got to give up sometime sooner or later once I grow big. So the advantage was that I am able to make decisions on a daily basis. I don't have to worry about, making the decision and then not able to change that, because as market was changing in 2015 till now, you can see every day it just changed. You wake up one day and you have different rates on the loan. You have different cap rate going on. So I wanted to be able to manipulate my deals on my own terms as I needed, and then because a small group people that we had, they were, they're like, okay, well, let's do it ourselves. We get to learn something, because they also haven't had a chance to learn anything. They've just been doing passive. And this way we got a first-hand experience to do it. And while doing that, advantage was there, yes, that we were able to turn around this thing in less than 9 months. And I provided the T9 actually to Ricardo to do my refinance for the first deal. If I had a third-party management, definitely I may have a little more longer time to wait until I get that return. So I learned. I had a chance to make my own decision and get things running faster. If I want to get things done today, I can get things done today. Regardless, you have a budget in place, everything in place. It's still the process of getting approval and trying to find the right vendor through the property management. They do an exceptional job. I never say no to property management company. I myself a property management company now. So, if your heart is there as a property management company, then yes, I don't mind bringing someone in there if they can replicate my ideas, my information. So that is going to be in transition, definitely in 2020. I am moving towards that down the road, because if the property becomes bigger and bigger, I want to have more time for myself. Right now, I was in learning phase. Last 5 years, I spent trying to learn every single aspects of investment and construction, putting the deals together, everything. So that was there. So advantage was learn as much as you can. Now, time for me to sit back and let someone else comes in when I have a bigger deal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits to doing that is smaller deals are tougher with third parties.
Absolutely.
I mean, third-party management companies generally don't want to take on the smaller deals. And if they do take them on, you're not getting full-time help.
That is one of the biggest difference between self-managed versus the property management. They have a commitment to take the property. They will go to the property 2 times a month maybe. But as an owner and self-managed, if I'm driving by and if it's on my way, I'll swing by. I'll check on it. I'll take the call if I have to, right? So that was the biggest thing that I'd never had to worry about, keeping my property less than 100%. And that was a key in that property, that it stayed 100% throughout. Yet I just have 1% left right now, so I'm below 100%. Otherwise, I stayed 100% from day one. And that was the best achievement that I did because I did not mind taking the phone calls at 5 o'clock as a property management company or 6 o'clock, even 7 o'clock. I know I went a little bit for a wrong path. I started using text messages to the applicants saying, hey, I will meet you this and that. So I went beyond. Definitely that was the biggest disadvantage, but at the same time advantage to me at the end.
Yeah. So now moving forward, as you talk about getting into larger deals going forward and potentially using third-party management, how do you see that, your experiences being so hands-on? Because one of the big things about using third-party managers is you've got to be able to step back as more of an asset manager and manage the management company.
Yeah.
So how do you see that your experiences can help you kind of know what's going on?
Absolutely. Now, when I meet any property management company, I will know when they say something, what it's going to cost, how much it's going to cost. I don't have to doubt. I know this is my budget and this is what one should get the job done. I was listening to one of your podcasts, I guess. One of the lender has sent engineer, I guess, to get the bid for $85,000, and then literally only cost $2,800, right? So if I was just an unexperienced lead or a sponsor and trying to just be a asset manager, I might just approve that because that's what the number looks like, right? But being in a hands-on so far, any number that comes from the table, I know I can dig it and make sure this is the right number for the project. So for me to analyze the deal is much easier now. I can see what the expense is going to be, how the rehab going to be able to take place. So that is the biggest advantage. So if I know that, now dealing with the property management, I'm able to actually express myself saying, hey, this is what we need. And that's how we're going to run the deal. And I think they will be on the same page because they know they're dealing with an experienced person, not just person from the street and asking us to do something.
On smaller properties like this, what type of a software program do you guys use?
Oh, it's all day one. We use Resman. I don't want to promote them over here, but at the same time, I've been happy with them. It's a Resman software that we've been implemented from day one, and it's been fantastic for us. We're able to manage all our properties, small to large, and we integrated with lots of different other third-party solutions in there, which helps us to run our application, send out the link to the application, credit check, background check, things like that,
So it's something like having your own management company. Is your wife part of the
Yes,
the team too?
that's when actually I went full-time. I mean, I wasn't full-time, but I took over multiple other properties because in 2017, December, I retired her from her work. I was working everything myself. Literally, honestly, I was doing bookkeeping. I was wearing 3 hats.
Sounds like you bought yourself another job like the store was, working 100% retail.
And that wasn't game plan anyways going into because I wanted to know everything. If I pick up a P&L today, I can tell exactly what's going on. I can pick up a balance sheet. I can tell exactly what's going on. So that's what the game plan. But again, I got to grow. So I pulled her in. I have a nice group of team that I work with. So she's the front runner on the back end. She does all our paperwork, all our accounting, all our bookkeeping. We're working with the accountant, working with the tax consultant and things like that. So she actually came in and she took over all the stuff and she writes all the reports and I just review it.
That's good. Tell us a little bit about housing. I know that Ricardo and I have talked to you a little bit about housing. What does housing mean in your book?
Housing is good stuff. It depends.
What is housing for you?
Well, housing for me, when I look at it, is money.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's absolutely 100% guaranteed money for you every month in your bank account.
And what is housing? What does that mean?
Oh, this is basically the residents who apply for the subsidies from the government. They get approved. Once they get approved, they can apply. It's called free voucher program. You can go and look for apartments anywhere you want.
Is this like a Section 8?
Section 8, yeah. So you can put a Section 8 housing. People are familiar with it. Not many people are out there loving it, but I happen to acquire properties which already had housing, and I continued it. I filtered a few out. I kept, few, and I brought new, but at the same time, I balanced it. So make sure that when I balance it, I'm not telling people that this is 100% housing. I'm balancing it, saying, where do I have the money coming in? Clean money, right? And with less problems, because I got to make sure when I refinance or sell it, it is still holding the value in there.
Yeah, and housing, is this done through the county?
Yes.
So the county provides some money.
County, it's all the city, as in the county overall, but the city, like a Dallas city of Dallas, Tarrant County also by itself has their own housing program. Arlington, McKinney, you name it. Every single town, even Denton also has their own housing program.
Yeah, based on the needs of the family.
Yeah.
The housing group will come in and give them either a voucher or will subsidize the rent.
Yeah.
So you're not going to change your qualifications on the tenant coming in. You still have to run your own criminal.
Absolutely. Everything stays as is.
Background, but the tenant has maybe a fixed income, maybe a senior person, or maybe a mom with a couple of kids, and they need a bedroom or two.
Yes.
And so the county or the city, whoever's supporting this housing voucher that you're going to get, helps. So just a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
They pay some, they pay a lot. The city pays some, or they pay a lot. But you don't compromise on your credit.
That is very
quality.
good. That's a good point that you brought up, because lots of people think that when you talk about housing, you basically have to give them, when they bring the voucher, you have to give them. No, you still run the application the way you do your regular residence application. They do have to qualify background-wise, eviction-wise. Yes, the income-wise, we have to qualify them for the income that they make versus what they're going to pay. So if $1,000 rent, and they're paying $300 out of that, their income has to be at least $900, right? So at least they're able to support that. So that is how we can qualify them. It's not like if their income is $900 and our rent is $1,000, they disqualify. You truly disqualify them, but the housing is supporting that $600 rent. Sometimes housing supporting 100% rent. We still want to go through the process of making sure you have the right tenant coming in and no drugs, no situation like that.
Right, and housing, not only do you qualify the tenant, but you get qualified too.
Absolutely.
And that you have inspections on the property, and they kind of have a checklist on what they want to see to the property. And if there's blinds missing or refrigerators broken, they're going to be critical on you in making sure that you put a high quality property product available for the client/tenant to take advantage of the voucher.
True. And just to give you an example on that one, if you have a housing tenant in there, they have an annual inspection. They will drill you on the fire extinguisher or a smoke alarm or carbon monoxide or even minor water leak in your toilet as well. They will pinpoint. So I get a free inspection every year on all the units. If my guys have missed it, I get a free inspection. They come out there, they check the safety stuff, and they let you know this is like a free stuff for me, and it helps me to manage my deal properly. As long as I stay on top of it, as long as we do the right thing and get the right tenant, they pay exactly what you want. Basically, they pay the market rent. Yeah.
No, I think one of the things that you've found with housing is you see it as somewhat of an opportunity where most owners kind of shy away from that.
Absolutely.
Have you seen that when you're looking at deals?
Yes.
Housing deals.
The last deal that we did,
that's right.
Remember the La Colleen? Definitely lots of people have shied away. I looked at that deal back in 2016, and that time the seller was not ready to sell. They kind of brought it in market, but they went back. And in 2019, they brought back, and price was almost double. So give me an example right here. People neglected that time saying, it's housing. Well, the guy was selling for almost half the price then. And you still have a gain. And you come back and he doubled the money without doing much. And now I'm buying it, but I know it needs some love, some care. But the structure is very good. So when I saw the structure good, I can manipulate because I'm the property management. If I want to change the demographic, I want to change the clientele, I can do that. And so when I saw the opportunity, a good product, and people were shying away from the product because the product had, housing, heavily housing, 60, 70% housing. And people were shying away. But I said, well, you know what? That is what's called value add deal. You got to go out there, do the job. Because I'm the property management. I know I've done it. I can build a relation. I get my guys out there. and we can filter all these things out.
So let's finish up a little bit about your hopes and dreams of what you want to do. I know in the last couple of transactions, you've either done a syndicated, which you've kind of put the whole team together and you've raised money from your limited partners, and some of the deals that you've done yourself, that you've been an independent rental owner, which means that all the 100% of the money comes out of your pocket to buy these properties. In the future, where do you see you going? Do you see more independent rental owner by yourself, or do you see raising money through other people?
Long-term goal is definitely to retire with a few properties and just, do cash flow. And that way, no worries about emailing anybody or talking to anybody, but just to sit down and drink beer with friends and families, right? Right now, what I have done so far is definitely trying to have some good properties in our hand so we can create a cash flow. That's what I believe in real estate. I mean, real estate is not about only transaction, it's about cash flow and to support your basic needs. Right now, today, my wife and I both are not working, and I am not even a bit worried about paying my bills because I know I have generated enough cash flow from all these properties and the other properties that have KP'd and things like that. The cash flow is there. I've done 5 passives, 4 additional KPs, and I have 3 actually deals going on. So enough cash flow is there. So I'm not panicking to find a deal tomorrow to survive, pay my bills. And people ask me, oh, you both are retired. I'm like, yes, retired because I have enough cash flow. I have gone to the point. Now what I'm looking for a very solid deal that will help me to continue and grow on that one, because the market is very tough right now. You can't find anything that can give you 10-20% return at day one. So finding something that you can hold on and build equity on that. So I'm not going to be dying for cash flow and making mistakes and finding wrong deal because I have got myself situated.
Any advice for somebody that's just coming into the business? What would you say?
Well, the first thing is network. The second thing I'll say, educate yourself. Any given day, any point you find, if you find any educator, if you lead any syndicator, learn from them and, educate yourself. Third, I'll say, do your homework. Do your homework thoroughly because you might just get carried away by the wave that could be wrong for you. So you want to do your homework correctly, making sure you can sustain that loss or gain whatever you're going to invest on. And then third, I'll say build your team. Build your team is the very bottom line. I mean, that's the one thing should be starting from day one. If you don't have a good team, you're going to fail. You're going to fail in day one.
Is Ricardo on your team?
Absolutely. He is one text message away from me. That's all I got to do. Ricardo, I need this. He's on top of it. And the last thing I'll say, invest.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to get more information about what you do and build a relationship with you, what's the best email address?
My best email address, Binit at binitgupta.com.
Spell that for me.
BINIT at binitgupta, BINITGUPTA.com. So you can, send me an email on that if you have some more questions, concerns, if you want to learn something new from me or anything that I have done. My phone number is 972-653-2883. Call me up for coffee. I'm always open. I'm open for coffee and lunch, but not for dinner. Dinner's with my family. That's one thing I have dedicated. And, just that's about it.
All right. Binit Gupta, we appreciate that. Let's just finish it up here. Ricardo, any other words of wisdom coming from you?
No, I just think this is a great example of a great story. Someone that came here with $2,000 and is built up, through education, through networking, through taking some risks. But you're doing it the right way. So thanks for telling your story.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Binit Gupta, Ricardo Hinojosa, thanks for coming in. I'm Paul Peebles. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please join us at oldcapitalpodcast.com to sign up for our weekly email updates. We'll see you next week for another great interview.